As of Genshin's version 3.8, I finally collected every character in the game, and also sacrificed my wallet. Which is why I'm gonna do a challenge to defeat every Genshin Impact bosses released thus far with the characters that I have. So here are the basic rules. In order to complete this challenge, I have to defeat every boss in the game. This includes all the bosses in the adventure handbook. So the weekly bosses also count as well. I can only use characters once against the bosses. Once I defeat the boss with a character, I cannot use the characters anymore for the remaining bosses. I can use however many characters against a boss, meaning I can either solo the boss with one character or a full party of 4. I also cannot change artifacts or weapon for any of my characters. This means every character will have their own weapon and artifact sets, whether they're leveled up or not. I cannot use any food, including eating food for heals, so the rules are pretty similar to the Abyss. And the last rule is, if I die, I can just refight the boss with the same character. So there aren't really any penalties for dying, besides the fight just taking longer in general. Before we go into the video, make sure to subscribe if you like the content, and come on over to my Twitch channel, as this was all streamed live there. So the order of the bosses I'm fighting are in chronological order, meaning I started out in Mondstadt. My game plan going into this challenge is this. Now I'm not trying to solo all the battles. I'm trying to, like so Cube is easy, right? I'm trying to save all the easy bosses, with one character. Since we're in Mondstadt, the early game bosses were pretty easy. So I decided to start out fighting the first boss with Kirara. The only problem was, I'm basically wasting my Denzo character here. And I'll definitely run into a problem later on. I also ran into some troubles fighting an Electro Cube. I'm scared. I need someone to hold my Kirara so she won't die. Slowly but surely, I was able to defeat the boss. Alright, that's the first boss. For the Cryo Regisvine, I brought both Razor and Dia. They both had a pretty low level weapon, so I just thought I'll use them up for this fight. And with Overload, it worked out quite nicely. After that, I used Klee to fight the Cryo Cube. Alright, third boss I'm soloing. My Klee was actually built pretty well. Okay, good melt damage. Really good melt damage, okay. I don't know why I've been feeding my Klee, but she does a lot of damage. So this fight was over instantly. Alright, this should be it. The boss is pretty easy. Klee can just destroy it. Next is the Animal Cube. I used Beidou to solo since she has some artifacts on, and she's strong enough to be able to solo the boss. However, I became a bit complacent, so this happened soon after. I can't counter this boss. Okay, let me try countering it. Wait, I can't. No! No! No, I'm dead, I'm dead. Okay, Beidou is actually tanky. What? How are you still alive? Cube? Cube? No! What? Well, the second time in, I had an easier time, and I even pulled off this clutch counter with Beidou. Okay, can I kill it, please? Oh, that was a good counter. The first weekly boss in Mondstadt was Tavalin. I used Tainari and Dori to form a spread team. And surprisingly, it was actually pretty good. We managed to do around half HP before it flew away, and after that we were able to defeat it in the next phase. Finally, the last Mondstadt boss we had to defeat was Andrews. I brought a Burngen team with me to hopefully be able to defeat this boss. Will I die here? Honestly, I doubt I'll die, but level 1 Kole, yeah, I don't have her build, unfortunately. Ow! Ow, I'm getting frozen, oh no. Besides Barbara freezing me every time I got hit by the Andrews boss, everything else was fine. Ow. Stop! Stop! Okay, I gotta change my... Stop getting frozen. Toma had a shield as well, so it saved us from dying multiple times. The second phase was a bit better. Okay, I don't want to get hit. Ah! How am I getting frozen still? How? Eventually, we were able to outlast the boss and finally completed Mondstadt. Moving on to Liyue, I started out with Oceanid and used both Yae Miko and Layla. With a shield character and Yae's Electro Charge, the fight was a smooth sailing and we didn't run into too many problems. Next came the Pyro Regisvine. I used Rosaria and Child. Yes, you saw it here first. My Child was only level 1, so his only role was... Yeah, Child is on shielded destruction duty. Just don't want him to die. How fast is Child gonna die? He's not gonna die. I don't think. Okay, I said that, but Rosaria on the other hand though. Okay, it's actually looking kind of scary. Ah! The flower did this attack that I had never seen before as well. Ah! When does the Pyro Cube use these attacks? What? Yeah. Round 2 wasn't that great as well. Why do I keep getting hit by that attack? At least on my third attempt, orange was better this time around. There we go. The next boss we had to fight was a Geo Hypostasis. I used a team consisting of Yanfei, Noelle, and Lisa. All 3 of them were not really built on this account, so I thought Overload would be good enough, with Noelle shielding and breaking the pillars. It took me a while to defeat this boss though, but my strategy proved to be sufficient since Noelle was able to finish the boss in the end. We went to fight a Primo Geo Bishop, who's one of the tougher bosses in Liyue. So I decided to bring Nilo along with Yao Yao to hopefully be able to defeat it. This team was pretty strong, and I was able to tank the attacks of Nilo. Wow, it was actually easier than I thought. And with Yao Yao providing healing support, we quickly got rid of the boss. Not bad. I feel like I kind of wasted Nilo here, but I'm not sure if you count that as wasting. It's worth it, right? After that is Astaha, one of the weekly bosses in Liyue. I decided to bring Ayaka and Diona to tackle the boss, and since Diona can both shield and heal, it made perfect sense to bring Ayaka along in this fight. With one burst, I was able to face the boss. I was pretty lucky this week since Astaha is Electro, which in my opinion is the easiest element for him. So we were able to complete this fight without any issues. The next Liyue weekly is Child, who I brought Xiao along to solo with. I've done this boss countless times, so I know his attacks inside and out. The first stage was pretty easy, and it only took a bit of damage. Please break a shield. Break. 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 Okay, break it. What? How did you stand back up so fast? For the final phase, I was able to burst and just plunge Xiao to death. Ah! Okay. Good enough. The final Liyue boss was Ruined Serpent, who was located in the underground chasm. I used a team of Tongyun and Mika for this fight, and actually went surprisingly well. Mika was able to keep Tongyun alive with his heals, and Tongyun was able to deal big damage with his burst to the snake. Mika actually heals for a decent amount. And before we knew it, this fight was over. With Mondstadt and Liyue bosses completed, so far we've used 24 characters already on 13 bosses, which is pretty good. I average about 2 characters per boss. The problem is, both Inazuma and Sumeru bosses are less forgiving. So from here on out, it will definitely be a challenge. I started off in Azuma and used my Dendro Traveler, Mona, and Cookie, forming a Hyper Bloom team to fight the PMA boss. How much Hyper Bloom damage am I... Ow! 20k, okay, not bad. Could be better though. This was basically a free win because Hyper Bloom is pretty OP, but I had to use 3 characters for it. Alright, that was pretty fast. For the Pyro Cube, I used Hazel and Candace, with the latter being there to just help me destroy the Pyro Shield for the boss. With a Hydro character, it was pretty easy to chip away the shield HP, but we were eventually able to punch the boss itself, and it felt really good. I was able to finish the cube off pretty quickly since Hazel is pretty strong. Next is Magu Kenki, and of course I had to use Wanderer to solo the boss. Okay, I can't take damage anymore. I can't take damage anymore. No. Oh, I didn't see that. There were some close calls fighting this boss. I don't want to die. That's why I'm hiding. Okay. Easy. Oh! That was close. That's why you guys are seeing 150 reaction time in action. I press that Q button like 150 milliseconds. Okay, I was talking, alright? That didn't count. I died to the easiest attack! Okay, now I will try. I'll just stay far away so I don't get one-shotted. And now I'll be able to kill it. Whoa. See that? And no touch kill. This is me when I'm actually trying, alright? Easy. The Hydro Cube was honestly not hard with a Dendro character, and the boss even provided us with some heals. If I need heals, I'll just touch this thing. Even with one item, we literally broke through its defenses with one rotation. The rest of the slimes were dead with one shot with Dendro as well. Next was Shiny Ocean Egg. Since this boss likes to move around a lot, I used my Yoimiya to solo the boss, since she's capable of long-range combat. Her being a pyro character meant that we could also overload the boss as well, so it made Yoimiya the perfect character to pit against the boss. Oh, whoa! I can't iframe that? That's messed up. Luckily, we finished the boss off before it could do too much damage to us. For the Golden Wolflord, I used both Kave and Fissure as spread and aggravate DPS, while Ningguang is there just to break some Geo constructs. The Wolflord was pretty easy, since its attacks were pretty predictable, and Ningguang was able to support us with her Geo attacks to destroy the statues quickly. The boss itself wasn't much of an issue as well, and we were able to beat it without any casualties. Well, that's another 3 characters down the drain. Now it's time for Inazuma's weekly bosses. I started out fighting the Raiden Shogun, using a full team of characters. My Voltyea and Shincho combo could have probably been strong enough for the boss, but just for insurance, I brought Saro and Yola with me as well. We were able to quickly face the boss, but now we have to survive. Since Yola was only at level 1, she was there mainly to just destroy Raiden's shield. After surviving the jump rope phase, Raiden returned to her normal form, and we were able to DPS her down until we ultimately won. For Signora's fight, I used a dynamic duo of Yelan and Bennett. This might have been a mistake since I might need them for Sumeru, but I decided to just go with it considering Signora is a pretty hard boss. Yelan shines more in the second phase since she's able to burst down the majority of a boss's HP. And it's basically a battle of survival as well, since we were forced to wait out a fire tornado. Luckily, Bennett could heal us, and we just powered through the fight and came out on top in the end. I actually forgot Enkanomiya existed, but I went to fight the twin bishop enemies with a Geo team that consists of Ito, Albedo, and Goro. This team is actually pretty good against the bosses, since it's pretty AoE friendly, so I was able to damage both bosses at once with Ito. Although Geo does have its issues, this mono Geo team comp is pretty good at what it does. So the fight was relatively easy, and we finally finished Inazuma. So moving on to Sumeru, I started off with a Denzo Cube. This boss requires a Denzo character in order to defeat it, so I took Baizu along with Kajin as a DPS. Since I'm running out of Denzo characters, Baizu was the only one I could use here, so it might seem like a waste of a character slot. Kajin was pretty effective against this boss since she's Electro, so the boss was not as hard. In the end, Baizu was able to light up all the piffs, and we finished up the first Sumeru boss. Next up is an Eon Blight Drake. I took a cryo team with Gang Yu, Senhe, and Kaya since we only needed to shoot down the boss. But without any healers here, it slowly became a problem. Ow, no. I can't die. Since Gang Yu is my only bow character in the team, I had to be careful and not let her die since we needed her against this boss. But as you can see, I have tons of skill issues. What? Can you just jump up so I can shoot you down? Thanks. After shooting the boss down, it's time to DPS as much as possible and hopefully be done with it. But I spoke a little bit too soon. I mean, for a level 60 Ganyu, this does decent damage, I guess. Oh, you're punching me with your wings. That's all nice. Since the rules state that I cannot use food, I also cannot revive Ganyu. So when the boss decides to fly up again, luckily I prepared plan B. I can still get a boss down, even when it flies up. Okay, I missed. See? I'm breaking its arm right now. With that said and done, we were able to defeat the boss. Since I still had a lot of animal characters left over, I decided to use a full animal team against the Electro Flower boss. Plus Aloy, I was able to swirl Cryo, and it was actually pretty effective in destroying the Electro Core. Stop banging your head on the ground. That's what I want to do right now. Farzan does a good amount of DPS with her burst especially, so the whole boss fight was not that hard. Next I used Kazuha and Xinyan for the Denzo KFC. So I basically just used Xinyan to apply Pyro to the boss, and then Kazuha just swirled Pyro endlessly. Kazuha is one of the most versatile characters, which is why I save him for the bosses in Sumeru. This proved to be a correct choice since I was able to get through this boss with just 2 characters. So now we're at the end game, where the rest of the bosses are all pretty tough and require some good team comps. The Baptist boss was pretty tricky, so I used Diluc and Zhongli to fight it. Note that my Diluc at the time was only level 2, so his only role was to provide Pyro to get rid of the boss's shields. This fight was long and grueling because I came pretty unprepared for this fight, but with the characters that I had left, it was my best choice I had. For the majority of the boss fight, I was just poking the boss with my Zhongli, and it eventually chipped his HP down enough for us to defeat him. The Wiener boss is still one of my nightmares from the Abyss, but luckily we have Sino here to solo it. This boss doesn't really attack you since it's too busy hiding underground, so even without a healer, it wasn't that hard. Okay, good damage. Come back up. The thing I like about Sino is his burst just lasts forever. Okay, you don't stand a chance now. You made a mistake. So we were able to solo the boss. Easy. The final world boss in Sumeru was a giant Dorito, whom I brought Jin and Xiangling to deal with. It had a lot of HP, and the battle was pretty much an endurance fight since it was hidden most of the time, but after a while we were able to burst it down. Alright, so now it's finally time for the Skara Weekly. I brought Nahida, Kokomi, Amber, and Yunjin along to form a Bloom team, and quickly got through the first phase of the fight. The second phase we just had to evade all of his attacks and shoot a mechanism at him, but I let my guard down. Don't step on me, please. No! Okay. After we knocked the boss down, we were able to defeat it with only 1 casualty. For the final boss of Tavad, I brought a team of Raiden, Ayato, Venti, and Chichi, which seemed like overkill, but I was playing it safe and conserving a lot of characters for the weekly bosses in Sume. Venti was the most useful in the second phase, where we get to suck the enemies together. Oh, and that's so satisfying. In the final battle, we can just unleash all of our bursts, and it proved to be worth saving Raiden for the final boss since she was able to slash it down, and we were able to complete this challenge. Cool. With the Sumeru arc almost over in Genshin, I just decided to pay homage to all the bosses released thus far with a simple challenge with every character in the roster, before the barrage of new characters releasing in 4.0. Hopefully after Fontaine arc is over, I can do this challenge again, with more characters for the next time. So if you liked what you see, make sure to like the video and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one.